Om Bhadram Karnebi Shrunuyama Devaha Bhadram Pashe Makshabhir Yajatraha Stirai Rangai Stuštavansas Tanubi Vyashema Devahitam Yadayuhu Swastina Indro Vruddhashravam Swastina Pusha Vishwaveda Swastina Starksho Arishtanemi Swastino Brahaspatir Dadhatu Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. We are studying here Atharva Veda Muṇḍaka Upanishad with Shankar's commentary, and we read the two mantras of first section of third Muṇḍaka. And Shankar has introduced that by telling that we have already seen the Paravidya and also the Darshana Upaya with the help of Om. And now we have to be told the Sahakari Sadhan. Helpful means, that is, adherence to truth and like that. For that, the remaining portion of Muṇḍaka is there. But along with that, the nature of the reality has to be repeatedly told again and again in different forms, because it is difficult to comprehend. And with that, we read the two mantras, that two birds always together, same name, on the embracing the same tree. Now this tree is the human body. But along with that, the same description of the tree goes for the whole world, Urdhva Moolam Adha Shakham. But here it is taken as the human body. And on that, one of the two, he eats people, the fruits of that tree, while the other does not eat, but only looks serenely. We may take for granted that he is on the top, and this is on the lower branches. And then, though they are on the same tree, this lower one feels he is incapacitous of doing many things. And so he is full of sorrow, and he is also deluded, and moves here and there, eats the fruit, we have already been told, and we have to assume that it goes nearer the upper bird, nearer and nearer and nearer. And when it reaches the point just near the upper bird, the scene changes. When he sees him, the Lord, who is served by so many yogis, karmis, everybody, then he understands that there was no lower bird. It was his reflection. His reflection is the entire world, and his reflection is the so-called lower bird. And then there is no occasion for any sorrow. That was the two mantras. So, some people wrongly jump that the Upanishads talk of dualism also. This is, as we have found last time, the experience of a sadhaka. The sadhaka has not reached Advaita up till now. Advaita is a theory for him. So the experience of a sadhaka is that I am living in this body somehow, I do not know, but attached to this body. And I feel I am the doer and enjoyer. And so I do many things and enjoy the results thereof. But I feel, the sadhaka feels, there is another like me, is sadhak's feeling. Another like me, who is sitting on the top, serene. Now some of these experiences come to every sadhak. And as a model of the ideal sadhak, if we can consider Sri Ramakrishna's experience, little different, that from his body, another sannyasi used to come out. There's some differences there because the sannyasi would tell him, do this or do that, and must meditate like that. So, a similar experience I have shown. Now, we come to the third mantra. Yada pashyate rukmavarnam kartaramisham purusham brahma yonim tada vidvan punya pape vidhuya niranjana paramam samyamupaiti. There we were told only that there is no more shoka for him. Now, here, more results of his realization are being told. Yada. Yada means, literally, yada will mean at what time. But time in spiritual life means at what condition of the mind. Pashyaha. Pashya means one who sees. Pashyate, that means sees. When one who sees, the experiencer experiences, what he experiences? Rukma Varnam. Rukma is gold. Now, of the color of gold, meaning that bright. Kartaram. So he is seeing him now from near. And so he is seeing so many characteristics of him. We were told he sits serene. But he is the Kartar. He is the doer. Srishti Sthiti Pralaya he is doing. So everything which we feel I am doing, actually doer is he. That is the Saguna aspect of Brahman. Isham, he is the ruler of all. Purusham, Purusham generally has two meanings. Puri Shayanat Purnatvatva. That means infilling the whole universe or our body, but perfect in himself. That is Purusha. So that is what he sees. He does not see him as a bird. We are told Mahimanam. Now it says he fills in the whole body and the whole universe, and yet perfect in himself. Brahma Yonim. Now here Brahma is Brahma. We take Brahma as the creator. But how Brahma was created? From him. Now don't ask who created him. Sometimes schoolboys, I remember in Himachal Pradesh at one school, a boy of the 6th standard asked me a question. And he thought he's asking a very smart question which I cannot reply. If God created the world, who created God? Now, what is the answer?
God is not created.
First of all, define God. That when the world was not there, what was there? God. So creation means one who was not there and brought in existence by somebody else. So two things are being assumed. One is that he was not there sometime. Secondly, that there was somebody apart from him who created him. So both these things apply to the world and we are wrongly applying to God. That is the answer is that your question is invalid. There is other way of answering that question called reductio ad absurdum. Suppose we find somebody, then he will be God, not this God. And the question will be, who created him? So if you find some other, then he will be God. So this logic will never end. So it is a false logic. So he saw Brahma Yonim. Brahma means the reality in the Saguna aspect with mind. Now the terms you have to understand. They are not different people, but in different roles. Some Vedantis, some philosophers create a lot of confusion that Brahma is alag, then Ishvara is there, then Brahma is there. And that creates a confusion in our mind as if so many realities are there. To the extent that while studying Brihadaranyaka Upanishad, one brahmachari was arguing me like anything. Now there, the Virat or Brahma is a jiva who, having performed Ashwamedha Yajna and having knowledge, became Brahma for this cycle. Now that is a different being. What is his position? Let us understand. He becomes one with Brahma. So he is not gone. His ahankar is not gone. And so he is semi-perfect. Semi-perfect means he was afraid, he was this, he was that. And when he thought, he became free. So because he has such a great mind, so just thinking was enough for him. But initially he was imperfect. Now this is a person who, having not identified, feels like identified, unified with that Brahma. That is a different being. But God himself in different roles, that is Brahma. So when God is with the avyakta world, he is Ishvara. And when the slight manifestation takes place, that means mind comes into play, then God with the mind is called Hiranyagarbha. And when we think that God has a body, then he is called Virat or Vaishwanar. So he saw that Kartaram, Isham, Purusham, Brahma Yonim, the creator of Brahma. Tada means when the mind reaches this state, then Vidwan. Should not translate Vidwan as a scholar. Huh? Vidwan. This one man added to tell us possessor of. Buddhiman, Rupan. So Vidwan, possessor of knowledge. That means Tada Vidwan. Then he is the knower, real possessor of the knowledge. When the seer, Pashyaha, sees like this, then he is the real knowledge. Punya pape viduya. Now Punya and Pap depend upon I consciousness. When the I consciousness is there, automatically I am the doer. And if I am the doer, I am doing either good things or bad things. But he might have done. But when he sees this, then his doership is gone. And so there is no scope for Punya or Pap. So Punya or Pap viduya means washed out. Niranjana. He becomes spotless. Now let us think, what is a spot? Now everything is white. on that something black, that will be a spot. On any color, if there is some other, then it will be a spot. Now, if it is one without a second, when he has realized the supreme goal of life, automatically there is no spot on him because there is no place for a spot. And this also tells us in practical life, absolute divinity is absolute perfection in life. So if some people will tell you, our Maharaj had attained such and such state. Now what you see is prarabdha. Don't be deluded. Understood? So, punya pape viduya niranjana. No spot remains on him permanently. Paramam samyam upaiti. This is another important thing. What is parama samya?
Tranquility.
I would consider samya in two respects. Now, good and bad, liked and disliked things will go on happening in our life. But our mind will not side any one of them. So, sukha dukkha, manapman, ninda stuti, this is the very nature of the world. But that will not affect my mind. That is samatha, point number one. The other is I am seeing the world. So before knowledge, I was seeing a man, a cow. Now he sees Brahman in the form of a man, Brahman in the form of a cow, and so the sameness comes. In the Gita, Vidya Vinay Sampanne Brahmane Gavi Hastini Shuni Chaiva Shapake Cha Pandita Samadarshina. So this samatha has both the meanings. The mind is undisturbed and he sees Brahman everywhere. Now a little comment on this. This thought called communism, is called Samyavad. So how it arose? It is a distortion of Vedantic vision. So many types of distortions are there. So this distortion means from outside he sees everything same. That is simply not possible. We have some jokes on that. No, for example, take any country, Russia or China or whatever, the salary of a carpenter is almost same the salary of a professor. But then the politicians who create this samya, what about them? So you know what is the joke? They are more same. Why? Because this comes as a distortion in our mind. Grossness of the mind to understand the truth. Now the perfect example will be Holy Mother Sarda Devi. There was a worker, Amjad. He was half thief. That means when they get work, they do. When they do not get work, they steal. And mother is telling, she is my son. He is my son as much as Sharat is my son. The born in pure Brahmin family and Nirvikalpa Samadhiman. Understood? But never she says that Amjad should be made General Secretary and Sharad will do mason's work in my home. No. So she tells in the name of Thakur that he has taught me behavior. Jekhane jamun shekhane tamun means in that time, place and circumstances you have to behave. So that is the perfect example of Samabuddhi. So he becomes like that. Paramam Samyam Upaiti. Paramam, absolute Samyam, he reaches that, he gets that. So let us see what Acharya tells about this third mantra. Anyopi mantra imam eva artham savistaram. That means that two mantras, in the end was that he is no more shook. So that very meaning is conveyed in detail. The result of his knowledge is told in detail. Both the nature of vision and the nature of effect. Both are told in detail. Yada yasmin kale, we are told that yada means yasmin kale means in that condition of the mind. Pasha, pashyati iti vidwan sadhaka ityartha. Vidwan sadhaka, again I am telling not scholar, vidwan, one who knows, one who possesses knowledge, that's sadhaka. Sadhaka, remember, sadhaka word is there in Bhashya. You understand? Now I am reminded of my Guruji here. We think in many places it is not like Nyaya, it is not like Sankhya, or so many things we see in the Bhashya. So people imagine Shankar is debating with scholars. That is not true. My teacher would say, this doubt due to Maya has entered Sadhak's mind. And Shankar as the Guru is removing that. Every conversation was like that. Understood? So it is the Sadhak's mind which gets assailed with so many doubts because he is not yet perfect. And from the beginning to end, he would be addressing sadhakas. So, anyway, after joke, something I have to tell you. Remember? You do not know. No, in the university, I was invited to guide the research. And I told my Vedanta is not for PhD. It is only for sadhakas. Anyway, so this word sadhaka, Shankar also has used in many places. Vidwan sadhaka. Sadhaka has become Vidwan now. Iti artha. Pasya, the meaning of Pasya is telling. Pasya, Pashyati iti Pasya. Vidwan sadhaka iti artha. Pasya means one who sees, means the sadhaka has become Vidwan now. Pashyate. Now the Pashyate is Atmanepada. In normal Sanskrit, it should be Parasmaipada. So Pashyate is Pashyati. Purvavad. Purvavad means in the previous mantras, Anasana, Anyo, Vichakashiti, etc. was there. So, Purvavad, Purvavad should mean in the first two Muṇḍakas we have been told. Huh? So, Rukma Varnam, Hiranyagarbha has been explained in the first two Muṇḍakas. So, Purvavad, Rukma Varnam. Now, Rukma Varnam means color of the gold. But this is a description. The actual meaning, Shankar says, Jyotirasya Avinashi. His luminosity is permanent. His luminosity will never go. That is the meaning of Rukma Varnam. Kartaram, doer. So we should see in every description some characteristics of the Nirguna and some of the Saguna are together. When we say Kartaram, he is the creator of the world. He is the creator of everything in the world. And that includes what I am doing, you are doing, he is doing. So these, if we study the implications, then our life is built up. Kartaram sarvasya jagata. So he is the doer in all the world. He is the creator of the world. Isham, Shankara has not commented because previously he has been commenting that Isham is the ruler. Purusham also he has not commented because previously he has told Purusha is Purishayanat Purnatvadva. He is pervading body, world, and he is perfect in himself. That is Purusha. Brahma Yonim. Brahmacha tad yonischa asau Brahma Yoni. So, first meaning is different than what we thought of. He is Brahman and he is the creator. So, he is Brahma Yoni. Then, second meaning. Wow. Tam Brahma Yonim Brahmano va aparasya yonim. So, Apara Brahma is Brahma. So, from Nirguna Brahma, the Sagun Brahma has come, not from some other source. So, that is the meaning. Apara Brahma va Brahmano va aparasya yonim. So, yada, so he is seeing like that. That from Nirguna Brahma, the Sagun Brahma has come out. So yadacha evam pashyati tada. So when, then, that is the combination. So when his mind is in that condition, then sa vidwan pashya. So pashya was explained as vidwan. Vidwan is being explained as pashya. So vidwan means he sees now reality. He experiences reality. Punya pape bandhana bhute karmani samule viduya. So Punya Pap were bondages because the doer was there. And now when he is the doer has been realized, then that is washed out. Nirasya dagdva. So the original is washed out. Shankar says burnt out. Nirasya means in totality, without exception. Samule. Then Niranjana. We saw Niranjana is one without a second, so no spot. Shankar explains little more detail in practical life. Nirlepo. Lepa means something to be attached to. That is lep. As we chandan lep like that. That is the meaning of lep. Nirlepo. Vigata klesha. That he has interpreted. What is this klesha? Klesha is the term used by Sankhyas and accepted by Vedanta. Both Sankhya and Yoga talk of klesha. You might write down if you like. Avidya, Asmita, Raga, Dvesha, Abhinivesha. These five are called kleshas. Now, avidya is wrong knowledge. And the first effect of wrong knowledge is asmita. I am. The amness of a separate individual. And immediately, then likes and dislikes come. So, raga dvesha. And this abhinivesha means I don't want to give up this body. Obsession with the present body, that is called avinivesh. Though everybody has to give up the body, but so much attachment to the body we possess. These are called pancha kleshas. So, vigata klesha. Niranjana means nirlepo vigata klesha. Vigata means they were in his mind, now gone away. Vigata. Paramam prakrushtam samyam. Paramam means prakrushtam, niratishayam. That means no superior than that. Samyam, samatam, advaya lakshanam. Samatha is only realization of the Brahman one without a second. Advaya lakshana samatha. Dvaita vishayani samanyato arvanchi eva ato advaya lakshanam etat paramam samyam upaiti pratipadyate. Now in the Dvaita world, some people have samatha. We just now described communism. So Acharya says this samatha is not that. Arvanchi. That means if in Dvaita you feel sama, it is a lower samatha. Arvanchi means lower. Advaya lakshanam etat paramam samyam. This samya is of nature of Advaita, so it is paramam samya explains like that. The word uses paramam samyam, so he explains like that. That this is the superior samya, not the lower one. Upaiti pratipadyate, gets it. Prano hi esha ya sarvabhutair vibhati vijanan vidwan bhavate nativadi atma krida atmarati kriyavan esha brahmavidam varishtaha. Brahmavidam varishta. Some people imagine 7 Brahmadnya avasthas, Yoga Vasishtha. We can understand Brahmavidam means intellectually you know Brahman, you have some experience of Brahman, Aham Brahmasmi. Now the Varishta is this who has realized fully. Esha Brahmavidam Varishta. Now Prano hi Esha. Esha means Brahman. This Brahman that he had seen, the sadhak had become seeing. So that Brahman is prana. Now try to understand prana. Because prana is such a word, in hundreds of ways prana word is used. So prana, sarva bhuter vivati prano. Esha prana. Prana means animation. How do you know man is living? We see some movement. But that is not real sign of living. Without prana, man can live. Imagine Thakur's Nirvikal Samadhi. Doctors tested, no sign of prana. But when I comes in, prana comes in. Both in the cosmic and individual. Understood? That Brahma has I consciousness. That is the difference between Nirguna and Saguna Brahma. And we have individual I consciousness. So comparing with Thakur's Nirvikal Samadhi, we understand there was no prana there because there was no I. Consciousness is there, super consciousness. Bliss is there. because it radiates. People see that. But no function of prana. Now, where from this prana comes? So he himself is prana. That is what he is telling. Esha prana. This animation does not come from somewhere. He himself becomes prana. Understand? Esha prana. Because he is now describing the all-pervasive nature of that reality which he saw. So he is Esha prana. Sarva bhutar vibhati. He is, vibhati means appearing, shining in all the beings. Prana is in all the beings or he is in all the beings. So is the consciousness which is the root cause of prana even and all pervading. Vijanan, now knowing him, that Rukma, Varnam and all that is in the first line. And Vijanan, Vidwan, having experienced him. Vi is used for special knowledge or experiential knowledge. So Vijanan, Vigyan, your science, is a specialized knowledge. And Vigyan in spiritual life is experiential knowledge. So Vijanan, having realized that, Vidwan, he has become Vidwan, possessor of knowledge. Bhavate nativadi. Ativadi na bhavate. We refer to Chandogya Upanishad. There, Sanat Kumar is teaching Narad in the 7th chapter that if you know this Brahma or Hiranyagarbha or Saguna Brahma, then if somebody says you are Ativadi, he should accept, yes, I am Ativadi. Because his knowledge is superior to all. But when you realize Nirguna Brahma, you are not Ativadi. Because you do not have a habit of cutting others' points. You know that they will gradually come to that. So that is a sign of Brahmagya. Nativadi bhavati, ativadi na bhavati. He does not show his scholarship. I know better than you. That is not his attitude.
In Chandogya Upanishad.
Huh?
Chandogya Upanishad.
In Chandogya Narad Sant Kumar Samvad, in the 7th chapter, this Ativadi is introduced first by Sanat Kumar himself.
Oh.
And then he says, but he is not Ativadi, like that. One first is that if you realize Hiranyagarbha, Sagun Brahman, then if somebody says you are Ativadi, you should accept I am Ativadi. Because that is the real position. In the world, if you know Sagun Brahman, you are the maximum knower. But if you realize the difference is that your I is gone, ego is gone. So he, the man of full realization, is not Ativadi. Like that, Sanat Kumar leads Narad. Now, some very important words are coming. I am again reminded of Chandogya here. Atma Krida, Atmarati. This you will find in all Upanishads, Kathopanishad, everywhere. Atma Krida, Atmarati. Now, Shankar would describe it little negatively. First of all, what is the difference between Krida and Rati?
Krida is play. Rati is Raman.
Shankar will explain, if you are playing with a ball, then it is Krida. Some external means. And if you are without any external means, body to body, then it is Rati. Understood? Now, ordinary man is always wants to play. with something, because he derives joy from that. Now, Shankar will say, this man does not require it. All the joy he gets within himself. But mind you, it can have a positive interpretation. See Thakur's example, then you understand everything. Holy Mother described that he is happy with children, he is happy with young man, he is happy with old man, and he is happy without anybody also. You understand? Raja Maharaj is another great example. He would always play with Balram Babu's grandsons, because he sees himself in all. That is the real meaning of Atma Krida. Don't be deluded if you see Brahmanya is playing. Another bright example is Ras Leela. There, Parikshit asked Shukadev that God came to establish religion. How is it he played with women? He said that a very beautiful shloka is there. Reme Ramesho, Reme Ramesho, Vraja Sundari bhi, Yatharvakaha, Yatharvaka, Yatharvaka, Sw.Pratibimba Vibrama. You have to go a little more into it. Huh? Sw.Pratibimba Vibrama. Has any one of you visited Indore? In Indore, there was a rich man, Hukum Chand Jain. He created two palaces, not for living. Huh? One was called Kanch Mahal and one was called Sheesh Mahal. That means the whole palace made of glass, that is Kanch Mahal. And whole mirrors. Now you can experience a little if you have visited barber shop. There is a mirror in front, there is a mirror in back. How many reflections you see? Infinite. Now, in such a palace, you leave an infant, Arvaka. What does he say? Himself. He does not understand it is a reflection. Himself. So Patibimba. Vibrama. Vibrama means he is deluded like, he is playing like. Like that, the Lord played. That means the gopis' hearts are absolutely pure. So his reflection was there and he was playing. That is the meaning. So that is another Atma Krida. And in Thakur we say funny things in gospel we will read. Some Vishwambar devotees there and his daughters have come, 7 or 8 years of. And Thakur is singing lollipop songs for them. In that your husband will come and all these things are there. So in his mind, so both Atma Krida and Atma Rati. Now Atma Rati will mean he is playing with himself. Okay? So Krida is some instrument, ball, bat, something. And Rati means without any instrument. Need not introduce here, but in Chandogya Upanishad, another word is used. Atmarati, Atma Krida you see in many Upanishads. There Atma Mithuna is used. Anyway, I don't want to discuss it further. If you want, you note down 24th August 1882. gospel. Because the gospel does not have chapters and all that, so by date you can identify. More than that I will not tell you, read that. So these are experiences. Anyway, even accepting Shankar, there is no harm in that. That whatever joy people get by Atma, by Creed and Rati, he gets within himself. Kriyavan. Now here a big confusion will come. Shankar has been telling there is no Kriya possible in him. Isn't it? Now he says Kriyavan. This Brahmavidam Varishtha is Kriyavan. Shankar will explain it. Asambhinna Arya Maryada. That means he is meditating, he is doing, that is Kriya. He understood. But that is, we should say, Shankar's little bias. Because, no, we should not forget, again and again I will tell you. Note down, Gita, 4th chapter, Shloka 18 to 24. Especially 24. What is Gita 24? Brahmarpanam Brahmavi. We are using it for a bhavana, for eating. Shankar says it is not like that. Because then it remains only for eating. He has talked of yajna. But he has described this in 2 different ways. From 18, कर्मणि अकर्मया पश्येद अकर्मणि च कर्मया सबुद्धिमान मनुष्येषु सयुक्ता कृष्ण कर्मकृत. That means akarmani, karmani akarma pashyat. Pashyat means trying to input the idea that I am not the doer while you are doing. Now this can be done either like the jnani, guna guneshu artante, or like the bhakta, that God is the doer. So this is karmani akarma pashyat. No, akarmani karma pashyat is not like that. There pashyat means introspection. You feel that you have become akarta, but karta is still there. So many grades are there. If you have this, then you have achieved everything. How? You are entering from karma nishtha to jnana nishtha. So between 19 to 23, 2 sadhakas are described. One is shariram kevalam karma kurvan. Jnani. That he is doing only bathing, this much is. The other is yajnaya acharata karma samagram praviliyate. Shankar says, important, so I am discussing it. Normally, a man, suppose he is doing karma for chitta shuddhi. And a chitta has become shuddha. So he is able to feel God. So he will give up that karma, normally. Shankar says. But due to some reason, if he is not able to give up, he will continue karma from outside. Within him, he is a jnani. How jnani? Jnananishta. So he has used the word pravritta nivritta there. Pravritta jnananishta, nivritta jnananishta. Now this very thing culminates in Brahma. He says Brahma Arpanam is a shloka for full knowledge. Don't use it for bhavana. Don't use it for a bhavana of yajna only. So I am saying don't use it for a bhavana of lunch only. Because there is a, then it remains only up to that yajna. Here it remains only up to our eating. Now, 2 persons. Both are Brahmanyas. I would say with different constitution. The previous Jnananishta, Pravritta and Nivritta, not that for some reason, etc. That is the constitution of man. Now, a man is Brahmanya, but you are seeing him doing karma. Karma, all karma represented by yajna. So that arpana means the spoon by which you do, that is called arpana. So you see arpana, but he sees Brahman there. Havi means that thing which you, by the spoon you are putting, that also is Brahman. Agni is Brahman. And the person who is giving also is Brahman, Brahmanahutam. So finally what happens? He goes to Brahman only. Brahma karma samadhi na. Samadhi is knowledge here. So his karma is Brahma only. Okay? Other interpretation now. The jnani type. So some people say about sannyasins, you have heard this? They are parasites. Not doing anything, they are living upon society. A Brahmana is there, is not doing anything. Swamiji says that his life itself is a blessing. So, Brahman itself is his spoon. Brahman itself is the Havi. Brahman itself is the Havan. Brahman itself, so reverse meaning. Arpana is Brahman. Havi is Brahman. Or Brahman, you see in Sanskrit, if Vishesha Visheshana are together, you do not require a verb. So, Brahma itself is Havan, Brahma itself is everything. So, that is the karma he is doing. That is the second meaning. Now, why not use it here? Kriyavan. And you can use both the meanings. That from, now you see, even a Brahmajna is doing something or not. Shariram kevalam karma or, understood. With this we'll understand Shankar Bhashya. Esha Brahmavidam Varishtha. Esha, this person. This person who is Nativadi, Atma Krida, Atmarati Kriyavan, and he has seen that Brahman itself is the prana, Brahman itself is in all beings. Such a person is supreme among the knowers of Brahman. We can translate it. One who fully realizes Nirgun Sagun Brahma is the supreme knowledge. Kimcha means in addition to what is in the last mantra. Yo ayam pranasya prana. So, canon Upanishad, pranasya prana. So it is a bhakti type expression. He is a prana. Upanishad says he is a prana. Acharya says he is the prana of my prana. Understood? Pranasya prana. I breathe. There is prana function in me. But what is the consciousness behind? Because of consciousness, prana is functioning. That is pranasya prana. Chakshusha, chakshu, shrotrasya, shrotam is there, na? So, prana here means pranasya prana. Para Ishvaro hi esha. Para Ishvaro. Parameshwar we say, na? The Pareshwar. Yesha, Prakruta. Prakruta means whose context is going on. Sarva Bhutair Brahmadi Stamba Paryantai Itham Bhuta Lakshane Tritiya. What is Itham Bhuta Lakshane Tritiya? Sarva Bhutair Vivati. Sarva Bhuta is Tritiya. And normal meaning of Tritiya is with. But here it does not mean with. Becoming that is the meanings. Itham bhuta lakshane. Sarva bhute vivati does not mean that with sarva bhuta is shining. In the form of sarva bhuta is shining. Itham bhuta lakshane tritiya. What? Brahmadi stamba paryantai. Brahma is also he and a stamba. Remember, not stamba. You should not make this mistake. Some places stamba may be there. Stamba means a pillar and stamba means blade of grass. So the most manifestation of consciousness is in Brahma and the least manifestation of consciousness in a blade of grass. So from Brahma to blade of grass, all be in the form of all beings he is shining, not with them. Itham bhuta lakshane tritiya. Sarva bhutastha, sarva atma san iti artha. In how many places he tells this, one should remember. The goal, aim of life is sarvatma bhav. So sarva bhutastha, he is inside all beings and he himself is all, sarvatma. Sarvatma san iti artha. That means being sarvatma is the meaning. Sarva bhuter vivati means he himself is all, that is the meaning. Vibhati vividam dipyate, in different ways he is shining. Evam sarva bhutastam yaha. Now, first line is over. Vijanan vidvan. Evam sarva bhutastam yaha sakshat atma bhavena ayam aham asmiti vajanan. So this who is in all, that I am. Okay? So this will explain Atma Krida, Atma everything. Huh? This I am. Sakshat Atma Bhavena. That means he knows means directly as himself. Atma Bhavena means as himself. How? I am Asmiti. Vijanan. Vidwan. Vakyartha jnana matrena sa bhavate. You understand? He does not have to do anything. When the sentence Tattvamasi is experienced, he gets Brahmatna. So, Akyartha Jnana Matrena, Ayam Aham Asmiti Vijanati. Now, this, it should have a comma semicolon here. Vijanan Vidwan.
After that comma.
Vijanan Vidwan. This over. Okay. Now, Bhavate Nativadi is next. Sa Bhavate. First, Bhavate is put by Shankaracharya as Bhavati. Na Bhavati iti etat. Bhavate Nativadi hai na. So, na take out. Bhavati means he becomes. Shankar says it does not become. Na bhavati iti etat kim ativadi. Ativadi he does not become. Atitya sarvan anyan vaditum shilam asya iti ativadi. Ativadi is a nature, shilam, of telling something higher than everybody else. Now Shankar connects everything and tells, Yastu evam sakshad atmanam pranasya pranam vijan vidwan. He has realized himself, the pranasya pran, vidwan, ativadi sa na bhavati iti artha. Sarvam yada atma eva nanyad asti iti drishtam tada kim hi aso ati vadet. Now, you are there, he is there, I am there. If everybody I am, then why I should supersede somebody? Yasya tu aparamanya drashtam asti satadati tyavadati. If somebody sees somebody different from me, then he will try to supersede him. Ayam tu vidvan atmano anyan na pashyati nanya shrunoti nanya vijanati. For him, he neither sees other, neither hears other, neither knows the. This all copy from Chandogya. Ato nati vadati. So he is not superseding others in talking. Now in practical life, one should not argue about the reality. By argument, you cannot convince anybody. Through evolution, when he comes to that point, he will understand you. That is the lesson. Kimcha atma krida, atmani eva cha krida, kridinam yasya. Na anyatra putra daradishu sa atma krida. He does not require a wife or a children to play with. He is playing with himself. Tatha atmaratir, atmani eva charati, ramanam, priti. So that thing has come here. What is ramanam? You have heard this word? Used for man-woman contact, generally. So, Atmaneva charati ramanam priti. Acharya translated as priti. Yasya atmarati. He loves himself. That is the meaning. Now, already told that he is in all. So, he may love himself in others also, but without the otherness. Everywhere same thing. Subject-object split is not there. Now he explains, Krida Bhaya Sadhana Sapeksha, Ratistu Sadhana Nirapeksha, Bhaya Vishya Priti Matra Miti Vishesha. Bhaya Vishya Priti. That means taking subject as an object and releasing that. Bhaya Vishya Priti. Not as some sadhana. Tatha Kriyavan. Now he comes to Kriyavan. Jnana Dhana Vairagyadi Kriya Yasya Soyam Kriyavan. That means you will see in his life. That is the meaning of Kriyavan. Not that theoretically he has known Brahman. You will see in his practical life. That is the meaning of the word Kriyavan. What you will see? He has knowledge, real knowledge, and he always you will see meditating or full of vairagya, positive, negative points of jnana, adi Kriyavan. That is his Kriyas. Soyam Kriyavan. Samasa Pathe, now in Sanskrit, previously, writing was not there. So, Atmarati Kriyavan can be one word. So that is Samasapata. Samasapate Atmaratireva Kriyasya Vidyate iti. So what is the Kriyavan? Atmarati itself is his Kriya. No Thakur worshipping himself and all that. Now, here, little grammar difficulty would come. Bahuvrihi matu arthayor anyataro atirichyate. Kriyavan is matu. Matu means one man. One man, the original is matu. Matu. And Atmarati Kriyavan is a Bahuri Samas. Bahuri, you understand. That means neither this nor that, third something. So Atmarati and Kriyavan, no. Atmarati itself is Kriya, yes, that is Bahuri. Now here both samasas appear. So he said both samasas appear, Bahuri should be taken. Don't take Matu. Anyatra atirichyate. One of them supersedes the other. Now he is telling the other party. Kechittu, as we said, na, Agnihotradi karma brahma vidya samuchayartham icchanti. Hey, we have crossed our limit. Gone, 5 minutes past. We get lost in this. Though Gadi is some. Now there, anyway, let us end. Oh, some more. Okay, this is a different topic. Om Bhadram Karnebhi Shrunuyama Deva Bhadram Pashe Makṣabhir Yajatra Sthirai Rangai Stushto Ansas Tanubi Vyashema Deva Hitam Yadayuhu Swastina Indro Vruddashrava Swastina Pusha Vishwaveda Swastina Starksho Arishtanemi Swastino Brahaspatir Dadhatu Om Shanti 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 Harihi Om Tat Sat Shri Ramakrishna Arpanamastu.